I'm really not all that familiar with that area. No, no, I'm just teasing. I'm teasing. Well, I think it's no secret that for at least 3, maybe 4 times, I proposed a constitutional amendment to be placed on the ballot to let the people make a decision on that. I mean, you've heard me say time and time again, like a broken record, that we're losing 500 to more, probably more than $500 million a year annually to the surrounding states, especially now that Ohio has full-blown land-based casinos. But, I'm not so sure that we haven't missed the opportunity. Just all the states surrounding us, with the exception of Tennessee, have some form of expanded gambling. And while I still think that the people should have the opportunity to make the decision, I still think that it should be in the hands of the voting public as to whether or not we should do this and to what degree we do it. I think as far as floating casinos are concerned, that's history. The market is saturated. As far as VLTs at the racetrack, if that could make a difference in sustaining the overall economy of the horse industry in Kentucky, and the polls that I have conducted myself show that 67% would favor or support the idea of VLTs at the tracks in my Senate district, or 62%, I believe it is. And that's wasn't really what you'd call a super scientific poll, but at least it was a poll. So I think that I've always supported the people's right to choose on that issue, and it goes to the pit of your stomach when you see that we experienced a $1,500,000,000 shortfall as we went into this last budget cycle. And granted, knowing that $500 to $600 million a year wouldn't have been a cure-all, but it would have been at least a help to whittle down that shortfall. And to elaborate on that a little bit, the stimulus money that Kentucky received, I do not know what we would have done without the $3 billion in federal stimulus money to balance this past budget. We took $800 million of that federal stimulus money and coupled it with the 6% additional cuts in state government and services across the board, minimizing as much as we could in elementary and secondary education to balance the budget. Now, we have a little of that money left over, but now I don't know what we're going to do as we go into this next session, and I'm sorry for rambling on about that, but it is all about the access of revenue to balance the budget. We have to balance the budget by Constitution in Kentucky. Washington does not.
Do you see, looking over the long term, is expanded gambling, in your opinion, something that would help insulate the state from budget shortfalls, or is that the main reason to pursue this?
Well, I would never have looked and never have touted expanded gambling in Kentucky as being the cure-all, because it is an inconsistent means of generating new revenue. It might be $500 million this year, but the economy gets bad again, then it may be less, that you receive. And there are some negatives to it. There are some downfalls. There's some social issues involved with it that was to be addressed in the secondary piece of legislation that had been proposed 3 or 4 times and killed by Senate leadership at every turn. But I would not look to it as a permanent means, and the market can bear only so much. But I still think that there was some merit for it, and I still think very strongly that the people's voice should have made that determination.